Welcome to Ending the Stupid Gender War. This show is only for intelligent, mature, non-doom scrolling people only. Subscribe and share this video with everyone you know and let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright, so what do we have in store for today's show? Well, it's going to be about the topic of traditional wives. Women for it, women against it, men for it, men against it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start, shall we? Okay, so beginning with the women as always, women first. For the traditional wife lifestyle, otherwise known as trad wife, which sounds mighty cringe. I don't know why people have to say trad. I mean, traditional. It's not that many more syllables left, but whatever. Women have to stop pretending that wanting a quiet life at home is a betrayal of feminism. I bake bread, I keep a home, I submit to my husband because I choose to, not because I'm forced to. Yeah, so what's wrong? What's wrong with the trad wife? It's so ridiculous. Women have to ask themselves why choice only counts when it looks like a corner office and a pantsuit. I found peace in tradition. I found purpose in nurturing. Yeah, that's what both partners are supposed to do in a relationship, nurture each other. You know, it's not just the wife's role. Women have to stop tearing down other women for making different choices than they would. You call it regression. I call it freedom. And the only person oppressing women right now is other women who can't mind their own business. Yes, absolutely. And, well, you have garbage women doing that, and then you have garbage men doing that. You know, they're trying to beat down this idea of a traditional wife when there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's been proven to work worldwide. In fact, it's pretty mighty arrogant and ignorant of Americans in general to think that they're the only civilization that exists and that their way of life is the correct way of life. No, it's not. They are, perhaps, I would say, pretty much 90% of the rest of the world, or almost close to that, the majority, the great majority, let's just leave it at that, to be as accurate as possible percentage-wise. They all have traditional wife and traditional husband roles, gender roles, if you will. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's exactly how humanity was, started, and that's why it works, because it works. Now, do they have extremism? Is it perfect? No. But is it the natural way of living with your partner? Yes. Absolutely. Now, what she means here about people who can't mind their own business, well, it's crabs in a bucket, right? So if you suck in the realm of love and you failed, or you continue to fail, it's only natural for you to be to act like a loser and want to bring everybody down with you, because you're pissed off, you're miserable, you're bitter. And that's why you're going to kick and scream about it and to fight with others, arguing online and offline about how love doesn't exist, that traditional wives, they don't exist anymore, and that it's stupid, it's wrong. That's because you're stupid and wrong. You see how that works? All right, so that's for women for the traditional wife lifestyle. Nothing wrong with that. Very traditional, hence the word traditional. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the idiots who are against the traditional wives in today's modern day lifestyle. You can say modern all you want. It just means life has the same code to abide by because it's natural, right? Women have to understand that this traditional wife aesthetic on TikTok is a performance, not a life. Yeah, you shouldn't be watching TikTok for those videos. I don't know why people are going off of TikTok. I mean, give me a break. You see the flower-dusted aprons and the smiling husbands, but you don't see the financial dependency, the loss of autonomy, the reality of being trapped if he changes or leaves. Women have to stop romanticizing an era when we couldn't have bank accounts or careers. That doesn't matter. That was back then. Today, you can have that now, so that's not what being a traditional wife is about. Not having this or that. No, that's the beauty of being a traditional wife nowadays. It can only get better. And that's what women fought for. They fought with the power of feminism, the correct way, by the way, just like men's rights activists. You guys fought for the things that you were supposed to fight for. Not all these ridiculous, stupid, topics about, how, mansplaining and manspreading and the pay gap and all this other nonsense. No. You guys fought for equality through these means, which means being a traditional wife today is the best now more than ever when it works. It's up to you to make it work. You can't blame some douchebag that you chose to marry because that's your fault, right? And say, oh, it doesn't work. No, your relationship or relationships didn't work. That's your fault. You can't blame an entire sex and say, oh, it's men's fault. No, it's not, sister. Your fault. Same applies to the guys. Oh, there's no good women these days. That's because you suck at trying to find a good woman to spend the rest of your life with. So the easiest thing to do is to bitch and complain about it and to give up and crawl into your little man cave with the rest of the insects and be a loser forever, convincing yourself that you're happy when you know you're not. That's how all that works. It's easy to spot. I mean, it's child's play. It really is. All right, so loss of autonomy, financial dependency, reality trapped if he changes or leaves. That's all up to you. Like, what kind of a guy are you spending your life with, right? Or are you trying to spend the rest of your life with? It's your responsibility, women. Don't be bitching and complaining if it heads south. Yeah, it sucks, but that's when you have to shift gears and leave the guy, right? What are you going to do about it? Complain forever? And because you will be miserable the longer you are trapped with that guy that you chose to be with. You got to accept responsibility, okay? Don't be acting like a crybaby at this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue here. You're not choosing tradition. You're cosplaying a past that would have destroyed you if you were actually living it. Women have to ask why this content is so popular right now. It's not a coincidence that it's exploding as our rights are being stripped. What rights are you talking about, sister? You have all the rights in the world. Exactly which rights are being stripped? Exactly. Like, it's garbage, what she's saying right here. You're selling a fantasy that, what? So a fantasy is falling in love with somebody that deserves your love and you deserve theirs? Is that a fantasy? That's actually reality in many people's lives. What's so fantasy about that? That's a reality that you failed to achieve. All right, honey, sweet cakes. All right, so you're selling a fantasy that men want you to buy, and you're laughing all the way to the bank. I don't know what the bank has to do with this, but yeah. So this is the level of immaturity here. Oh, I saw these, traditional wife, videos on TikTok. Well, that's your first mistake. It's just an entertainment platform. Similar to YouTube, similar to Instagram. Just scroll, and get your kicks. Get that dopamine hit, right? I mean, when you start talking about real offline reality cases between men and women, that's where you fail. The digital doesn't mix with the offline. There's some truths to it, but it's not a blanket statement where all men are like this, all women are like this. This wouldn't work offline. Yes, it does. You need to get out of the country, the United States, and go look at the rest of the world and see many places where traditional relationships not only work, but they thrive with real happiness. Now, are they every single case? No. Only a complete retard would think that everybody's marriage is a happy marriage. No, they're not. Because it requires challenge to be overcome, effort to be put forth. But you don't want to do that, do you? Because it's easy to just sit there and say, no, marriage doesn't work nowadays. Okay, so what are you going to do? Crawl into your woman or man cave and just convince yourself that you're happy? When you cry yourself at night? No. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears over to the men here. For traditional wives, men have to be honest about why this movement appeals to us. It's not about control. It's about partnership with clear roles. Men have to work, provide, protect. Women can do that too, by the way, if it's 50-50. If it's a dual working relationship, that's fine. You guys can both provide and protect. There's a lot of tough women out there. Women have to nurture, build home, raise children. Okay, I know what you mean by build home. But you guys both raise the children. You guys both nurture, and you build a loving home. That's another dual responsibility there. It's not, gender roles doesn't mean Women have to do all the cooking and cleaning. No, the men should do some cooking and cleaning too. Organization, teaching kids, and it's not only for women to teach that. No, 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 stop it. That's when you guys have it all twisted and you're being a bunch of idiots. When you're parents and when you're a spouse to one another in a loving relationship that's meant to last forever, you guys have to both share responsibilities. And, wisdom and intelligence has to flow through both of you. You can't say, well, without him, I'm not going to function too well. You might not. But now you have to pull up the slack, right? So you have to be able to scratch each other's backs to be there when the other person can't. Like if the man is off to work, now the woman has to play the role of the father, be a little bit more stringent when necessary with the children, but not abusive, right? And then the father has to be a little bit more loving and caring because he's probably stressed from work, coming back home from work. He's not going to take out his stress on his kids, right? So you better learn how to be more nurturing and caring just like the mother is while you're gone. You see how that works? It's yin yang. You guys have to have a bit of each other. Get in touch with your feminine side for men out there. Women, get in touch with your masculine side, but don't turn into a man for crying out loud. And men, don't turn into a weakling. That's not what a woman is. That's not what the feminine side is. No. It's a communicative side. So it's all based on wisdom and truth here. There's nothing wrong with that. There's everything right with that. Men have to watch modern relationships crumble under the weight of what are we? And who does what? I mean, if you have to ask those questions, you haven't seen a Disney movie because they kind of lay it out for you. And I'm exaggerating with the Disney movie, but I mean, it really is not that complicated. What do we do? What do you mean, what do we do? What are we? Why are you even asking that? It's kind of a stupid way of putting this paragraph here, but it's mostly correct. So we'll go ahead and continue. Give the benefit of the doubt. Trad wife content offers clarity in a world gone vague. Men have to ask why that's so threatening to people. It's not oppressive. It's not oppression to have a role. It's structure, and structure works. Yeah, absolutely. Now, were there big mistakes done in the black and white days? Absolutely. There were a lot of abusive fathers in the black and white days. A lot of neglectful fathers who left most of the child rearing up to the woman to handle. There were a lot of women who just lost their minds and just wanted to smoke cigarettes and drink vodka all day or liquor or whatever. Just to get drunk because they were overwhelmed with the stress and their husband was cheating on them. It doesn't mean that the black and white days, the suit and tie and dress days, were better than today. No. In many ways, today is way better than the black and white days ever could be. Because not only can we have the good from the black and white days, but we have a plethora in the age of information to learn from to where you can't go wrong, damn it. You understand? You have the internet. You still have libraries, for crying out loud. There's a wealth of knowledge. There's wisdom. There's people like myself putting forth positive, useful, productive information for you to use and to apply in your own life, to be successful, to be happy with somebody. But it's up to you to listen to it and to apply it for yourself. But if you're going to be lazy and a jackass and say, no, whatever, well, then that's your damn fault. You deserve exactly what you're not going to get and what you will get, which is a lifetime of misery and suffering. Have fun with that. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about necessarily structure. It's about knowledge, real knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, people either they want to listen and apply it to their own lives, or they're going to do the lazy thing and say, nah, I'm going to continue hating women. I'm going to continue hating men because you're a bunch of dumbasses. That's what dumbasses do. They never learn. They never really climb and upgrade themselves in this life. They just bitch and complain and never do anything positive with their lives. And then they smash the repeat button until they hit that titanium wall in the future and say, oh my goodness, what have I done? I wasted all my whole life because I'm not happy when I thought I was going to be. Well, that's your fault. So good luck with that. And unfortunately, tons of people, the majority, are going to learn the hard way, just like that. They're going to be like, oh shit, I just wasted like decades of my life being a jackass, a goofball. Yeah, because that's the easiest thing to do, right? For you. You're not the chosen one. What can I say? All right, so men against the traditional wife lifestyles. Men have to stop pretending that this traditional wife trend is about anything other than control. You don't want a partner. You want a servant who smiles. What's wrong with smiling? And what's wrong with servitude? If I serve my partner and she serves me, we serve each other in many ways. It's not necessarily servitude, but it's a gracious way of serving each other. It's with gratitude and with honor. You know, your wish is my command. That's what love is. Do you know how love works? And smiling, that means that you're happy. You're content. So what's wrong with that? You know, many people, they have this stereotypical image of what traditional husbands and wives are in the black and white days. Newsflash. You call it the black and white days, but back then they saw everything in color. You idiots. Just like you see everything in color today. Of course, we're referring to television when we say black and white, but it's because they don't pay attention as to the core of what actually works in a traditional nuclear family, as they call it. You never paid attention as to why it's important to smile and to serve each other as king and queen. So the more you go against it, against the grain, the worse your life is going to be. No, today's modern. We don't do that anymore. So what the hell are you going to do, jackass? You're not going to smile. You're not going to be, nice to your spouse. You're not going to do anything for them because, oh, that's the black and white days. Oh, we don't do that anymore. So what are you going to do? Netflix and chill? And be a lazy bastard and don't do anything for each other? Oh, because we're in modern times. We don't do shit. Wow, that's really smart. A lot of wisdom there. You know, where'd you learn that one? Did you get your PhD in dumbassery? Did you get 2 of them? I mean, that's what retards do. They think that they know so much when they know so little. And they justify it like crabs in a bucket, trying to bring everybody down. It's because they lost. They're losers. All right, so let's go ahead and continue here because it's what a joke. You want someone dependent so she can't leave. You want someone focused on home so she doesn't notice you're not showing up emotionally. What are you talking about? Only a complete retard wouldn't show up emotionally. Who says that? Oh, honey, I can't show up emotionally today, so I'm only here physically. You have to give me an excuse note. Oh, okay, sweetie. When are you gonna show up emotionally? I don't know. Let's set an appointment up. Let's schedule this. How about next Friday? Can I show up emotionally next? You see how stupid this shit sounds? What are you talking about? Showing up emotionally? Like, no brain in that skull, I swear. Men have to do this and that. See, this guy's just crying all over the place. Like, cry me another ocean, I swear. I mean, how useless can a guy be? Men have to look at who's really benefiting from this traditional values push. You both benefit, you idiot. How the hell can one partner benefit from something traditional, which is the way love is supposed to work? It's supposed to work because that's how it naturally does work. Anything other than that is just going against the grain just to go against the grain because you think you're cool when you know you're not. It's not women. It's not children. It's men who want all the benefits of a wife with none of the work of a real partnership. What the hell does that even mean? What benefits of a wife? You see what kind of dumbassery we're dealing with, right? A real partnership. Men have to stop dressing up convenience as conviction. You don't want tradition. You want a captive audience. No. Only abusive losers would want to control their spouse and treat it like, you give me this and I don't give you anything. I mean, like, did you skip that in life? Did you not observe that, basically? This is like preschool stuff. You know, preschool level observations in life. And generally speaking, you have abusive, evil people. You have like a gray, classification between how evil are you, how abusive are you. But if you're not in that category, you'll be good to go. You just have to find another person who is as good-hearted as you are. And that's it. Oh, it's not that easy. That's because you're not making it easy for yourself. And that's why it's so difficult for you, because it's so easy. I've met people who they just have trouble tying their shoes or doing the simplest things, baking cookies in an oven. but they're like geniuses when it comes to math and science. I'm like, wow, that stuff's boring. How do you memorize and how did you ace that class, that college level course? So, it depends on how much you know, yes, but about what you know. I'd rather be with a woman who has a heart of gold than a woman who is making six figures a year and doesn't have time, to tell me the time of day or to give me a kiss on the cheek and say, honey, I love you, because, I was in the wrong headspace. I didn't have time to. No. You have to decide where you want to live your life. How do you want to live your life? You want to live it passively, always in a rush, or stupidly believing things that are not true and making your own reality a living hell because you didn't stop to really think about things? Or you want to live life the way you were supposed to live, happily ever after with somebody who loves you as much as you love them? You got to make up your damn mind. You can't be bitching about all women this and all men that. How long are you going to play that game? You're going to end up like a skeleton pointing its little flangy fingers at each other. You guys are dead. There's no more life left because you freaking wasted it all, blaming each other. Your lives have gone to shit. So that's the way that ends. Rest in peace, right? All right, so with that said, yeah, I'm all for traditional wives and traditional husbands, but done in a modern sense, better than ever. Better than ever. All right, so that's all for today's show. Get access to my free 1-hour movie by simply signing up as a free member on my website, where you can, it's unforgettable, by the way, where you can also become a guest speaker on my show, Let's Talk About Love, if you have the guts. I don't bite. Much love, everybody.